Health experts are increasingly concerned about the growing popularity of a bright and powdery party drug called pink cocaine. Now, despite its name, the drug doesn't usually contain actual cocaine, but a mixture of ketamine and MDMA. An early autopsy reportedly found pink cocaine in the body of former One Direction member Liam Payne, who died last week. Haley Thompson is the project manager of Toronto's drug checking service, and she has more this morning on what we need to know about the drug. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Thanks so much for having me.
Pink cocaine is something people are talking about more. It's become linked to several high-profile cases, most recently, as you mentioned, Liam Payne's death. It is also the drug named in one of the sexual harassment lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs. When did pink cocaine first emerge?
So pink cocaine is also known as 2C, generally spelled T-U-S-I, and this is incredibly misleading. As you know, pink cocaine is not cocaine. It's not a single ingredient drug, and 2C, T-U-S-I, spelt after the drug class 2 as in the number and C class, a lesser known psychedelic. It goes back to around 2012 in Colombia, where it was known to, at that time, or believed at that time, to be a mix of 2CB, ketamine, and MDMA. But as time has gone on, we've seen it kind of move from South America up to North America to where it seems to be growing in prevalency now.
And some of the other descriptors is the hot pink color is actually food coloring, but it does have sort of a sweet smell to it, which is, also a concern for people in law enforcement who say that it is very misleading to the dangers of what's actually inside this drug.
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on the scent of it, but definitely it is misleading. And I think what we're seeing here, whether it be pink cocaine or 2C or other drugs, are the consequences of people only having access to unregulated drug supplies for these types of drugs, where you don't know what you're using, you don't know the amounts or quantities of the active drugs that are in these substances, and therefore people can't use safely, and it's very difficult for them to minimize the harms.
Some doctors say that they view pink cocaine as one of the most concerning party drugs. What makes it so dangerous?
I think the unknown element is what makes it so dangerous. It's not a single ingredient drug. And also the fact that if it is a mixture of drugs like ketamine, which is a dissociative, meaning that there's a separation between mind and body, it could have hallucinogenic effects. And then you think of a drug like MDMA, a stimulant, generally promotes feelings of euphoria. And you don't know the amounts that you're taking it in, it makes it incredibly difficult to use safely and to try and predict what the outcomes of every use would be.
Who's most at risk for using?
I think people who aren't well educated on the drug supply. I mean, for people who just might hear the name pink cocaine, they might think, okay, this is just cocaine that's been dyed pink. Like, I know what cocaine feels like, or I think I know what cocaine feels like. But that's not the case. So I think drug education here is really important, that people understand exactly what is in the drugs they're using. And they can do that best by accessing harm reduction services like drug checking, like seeking out drug education, like having conversations with their sellers as to what is in the drugs they're purchasing.
How big of a problem is it in Canada?
So it's relatively new drug to Canada, and I think also we have to consider that the stigma around drug use is so high, we don't really know. I can say through our service, at least, of the 15,000 samples that we've checked since 2019, only 2 have been submitted to the service expected to be 2C, again, T-U-S-I. So, a very low or very small amount, and those were actually only submitted this year. But what we have seen more of is around 30% of the number 2, letter C class drugs that we've seen submitted to our service have not been a 2C class drug, but in fact have contained ketamine and most likely also contained MDMA. So this is what we call suspected, where people did not know what it was that they were purchasing when at the time they did, and that the drug was contaminated with drugs they weren't expecting.
Haley Thompson, project manager of Toronto's drug checking service. Good to talk to you about it. Thanks for the explainer.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.